This is JJ Humphrey. We're back on Elephant in the Room today. You're just going to have me and Bob today, and we're going to have a day where we discuss something near and dear to our heart, which is going to be the Department of Corrections. But Bob, before we start, I'm going to get our pet peeve. We started doing something. Me and Bob always like to start off talking about our pet peeve today. So I'm on the way to church today, Bob, and I get this phone call. And I answer it because it's a number I don't know, and I get so many numbers all over you can't not answer it. And it's Medicaid. They want to know it. They say, well, we want to know if you want the A or the B or something like that. Medicaid, Bob. I don't even have Medicaid. Ain't eligible for Medicaid, and I am sick to death of getting calls every 5 minutes telling me, do I want to approve my Medicaid?
Yeah.
I thought we passed a bill. We had a bill. I thought that we did in the Oklahoma State House, and I thought they signed that thing to stop all of those. What do you call them? Robos or scam or spam.
Well, all they didn't really. You have to do it between 9 and 5.
Well, I tell you what, Bob. I think they put them on steroids. I mean. Heck, I get 10 times more calls now than
you imagine how many calls I get on that. I don't answer them,
but Bob, I got to answer. I mean, I don't know who's
calling. Look, here, they have a lightest bunch of people. They on Facebook. I got this deal. It says that, hey, if you can answer these questions here, you qualify for a $5,000 food allowance. So I said, well, I'll just check that out. So I said, call this number. I called that number. No, I answered 3 questions on the internet as they put up there, which was rinky-dink questions. Well, then I called the number and I get this girl. And she says, oh, yeah, you need to have a, I forgot what they have, that pays for what stuff that Medicaid won't pay for. And
supplemental,
yeah. So I talked to her a little bit. I said, hey, she keeps asking me questions. I said, when I looked at this on the internet, on Facebook, it says you have to ask the person one question and you'll qualify. And she says, well, it takes a little more than one question. She started going on and on and on. I said, yeah, we've been 15 minutes. We hadn't got anywhere. I don't want to fool with you. And hung up.
Let's aggravate, Bob, every 5 minutes. I wonder how much work productivity we lose. I mean, can you imagine you're working in a business every 5 minutes, boom, 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 boom. Just might as well leave your car.
I can see how they can make money if they don't.
I was thinking the same thing, Bob. I was like, who's paying all this? They got to be paying out some dramatic money for all of those calls, and even if there's robo stuff. I like.
What's your pet peeve?
Well, that is my pet peeve, Bob. That's my pet peeve. I'm sick of getting them calls. But
I'm still upset with my socks and my underwear.
Yeah, well, you turn them inside out.
I turned them inside out last night before I washed them. I went in there, folded them today, and dadgum, they're still inside out.
Well, you need to learn. You need to learn how to use your washer and dryer. That's what. I'll have Carla come down there and give you some instructions or something.
But those are only 2 buttons. I can't screw that up.
Well, Bob, we're going to today. What we're going to talk about here's the thing that I wanted to visit with today, because I'm pretty aggravated at the AG, because I've been writing the Attorney General for the last probably 2 years on Director Harpe. And I've wrote and not just wrote, I have verified. So I went and got the proof that the guy gave himself a $90,000 raise without any authorization, without any approval, and that's called embezzlement all day long. We've turned in things on him where money missing on COVID. We've turned in things on Bob. I don't know if you remember. Like he got an office, he got that office and it's $100,000 a month, I think's what it was. But you have to get legislative approval. You've got to get legislative approval. He's in a budget meeting and I say, well, did you get legislative approval for this? Well, I talked to the speaker and I talked to the budget chairman in the Senate. And I said, yeah, that's legislators, but did you get legislative, which would be the whole body? Did you get the whole body? Because that's what you have to get. Well, I talked to the speaker and to the, you know what I'm saying? He went over and talked to two. They can't approve it. And so again, here's $100,000. And, you know, I know in a 13 billion dollar budget, that may not sound like a lot, but that's $1 million. That's $1 million a year. Actually, $1.2 million a year. That's a pretty healthy little sum of what I think. And yet they never do anything. We turned them in on the whistleblower, firing these whistleblowers, and we had it documented to the T. Bob, we just won the third or fourth trial on the whistleblower. They just the other day won again. The only thing left, they can appeal it. DOC can appeal it to the state Supreme Court level. That's all they got left. And they fought her, and we won, you know, and yet, you know, what's happening? And the AG said, oh, we investigated that whistleblower. Well, how did you investigate it? Find absolutely nothing. And yet, you know what I'm saying? We won 4 times in court. And that investigator we had in there, we asked him, did you ever talk to the whistleblower? No, we didn't talk to the whistleblower. How do you investigate a whistleblower, you know, violation of whistleblower, Bob, and never talk to the whistleblower?
I'll tell you how they do that, JJ. They went over there and talked to Justin Ferris. Justin said, "Oh, that's not going on." JJ just bounced off that. We're not having no problem like that, and that was it.
Well, that's it. I mean, he went over and talked to one person, said, "Come back," because we had him in that hearing, and we said, "Did you talk to the whistleblower?" Nope. And we'd ask him, "Did y'all investigate the whistleblower violation?" Yes. Did you talk to the whistleblower? No. Well, I'm the guy who put the report together and gave it to you. You didn't talk to me. What about her lawyer? You talked to him? Nope. Well, did you talk to OMS who she turned that into? Nope. Did you go to court? Nope. You know, they did absolutely nothing. Came in there and claimed that they'd investigated this. Now we've won 4 times. You know, I've turned in stuff on whistleblower. This AG has come out being the champion of whistleblower. And Bob, I'll tell you why he come out on the whistleblower is because of all the stuff we filed on that whistleblower. So then he comes out and we're going to take care of whistleblowers. Only he ain't done nothing. And anybody that's tried to file anything on whistleblower since then, I mean, it's the biggest joke you've ever seen. But Bob, the reason that got me on this, right? You know what? We've hashed out all the stuff me and you are talking about here. We've had it round and round. We've talked it on Elephant in the Room and OCP, and everybody knows that. But here's the one that gets me. With all of that, with everything with that, we turned around and old Harpe made a contract with AI. You know, so AI, Department of Corrections. So how that works in the Department of Corrections. Now, Bob, me and you pretty much stay up on the Department of Corrections. What exactly was that contract? Do you have any idea what that contract was for?
No, I know it was $1 million.
Yeah, I don't know if it's facial recognition. I mean, there's some stuff on facial recognition that you can do. I don't know whether it's their call center. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things AI can do. Who knows what this is and whether it's actually worth $1 million. Did we actually get a contract worth anything?
Well, more than likely we didn't. But so let's see, 5 months later, he gets a job making $300,000 a year.
Well, Bob, and it's illegal. So guys, so you understand what we're talking about. While he's director, he goes off, flies around, jet sets around, goes down there and makes this contract. And then turns around. So, and guys, here's the thing you got to understand. It's not just $1 million contract. The way I understand that, it's a renewing $1 million contract, meaning it's good for 3-4 years, something like that. So it's $1 million a year was my understanding. I'm not going to say I'm 100% right, but that's my understanding of what it is. So we're not talking $1 million, we're talking 3 or 4 million. Then he turns around and he goes to work for him 5, 6 months later. Well, guess what? The law says he can't go to work for him for at least a year. So again, here we are, serious violation of the law. And again, that's kind of like ethics got on me. I can't go to work for the state. I'm not sure I would have ran for representative if I'd quite understood all this, because I've worked for the state. Like right now, I could go work for sheriff's department, something like that. But it's in Opers, and I think I could still do it maybe. But all with our ethics stuff, hey, they've got it where you can't go to work for 2 years practically after you get through being a legislator. Totally ridiculous. I mean, and here's the deal. We're not giving money to all the, I'm not getting anything for all of that. But here's a guy that's making $1 million contracts going to work for the company that he made the multi-million dollar contract. And guess what? I wrote the AG out front. I mean, I put a letter out to the public. I've done told you 100 times, and here he is one more time, red-handed, caught, hand in the cookie jar. And guess what? Have you heard one thing? And that's been 3 or 4 weeks ago that I wrote that. And guess what? I ain't got a response back. He didn't mention it the other day. I was down there at a little deal where we sat right beside each other. He never mentioned it. I don't know what does it take, Bob? Where do you know what I'm saying? How do you hold these people accountable?
Well, you can't. But if a guy can't, as AG, if he can't make decisions and go after these people that are dishonest, how's he going to do it as governor?
Well, that's my deal, and that's what I think I wrote him in that and said, if you can't do this, you don't need to be governor. If you can't take care of all of this, and Bob, it's not just this. I mean, think about all the stuff that we turned in on rape. I mean, I just not want our listeners to know, hey, for the last 3 years, we've been turning stuff in, and everybody like, well, JJ, you don't get nothing done. Yeah, we're getting some stuff done. Guess what? We've got probably, Bob, I think there's 6 or 7 of those cases that, and I think they just got approved the other day, of them shower cases, which were human rights violations that we turned in. Yeah. And we just now got them approved for federal court, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah.
So guys, here's the deal. As a representative, I'm limited. I can't file charges on him. I had to go to the court. I had to go to the AG. I had to go to DAs. Had to go to all that. And guys, we've done that. We've had hearings. We've called them in. We've gotten the evidence. We've called them out. We've turned that over to the AG. We fought the leadership because they wouldn't give us subpoenas. If we'd had subpoenas, we'd had even more chance to prove. We would have better evidence that how they botched these investigations intentionally. They don't go out and investigate. They go over and claim to investigate, just like this whistleblower. You cannot investigate whistleblower and not talk. And Bob, not talk to the whistleblower, but then talk to nobody. How can you have an investigation where you talk to nobody except the other side that says, yeah, we did that? Like you say, walk over and talk to one guy, and that one guy says, oh, yeah, we did that. JJ's just full of crap. Okay, investigation done. That's their investigation, and it come out in our hearing that that's exactly what they did. And, well, if you get any more evidence, but dadgum, I ain't got to get any more evidence. I got the evidence you didn't talk to the whistleblower, and we've given you a stack of emails. We've given you a stack of all kinds of documents, and that's what we put together on that whistleblower deal, on that rape deal. We had it put together like that. And again, covering up rape, and they didn't even go talk to anybody. We had, I think, I'd have to go back and look at that, Bob, but I think we had 40-something witnesses on that list for them to talk to that would verify, would be collaboration, would be evidence that what we were saying isn't just us saying it, isn't just whistleblower saying it, but we got 40 other people saying it as well. And then you never went and talked to the victims, and you never went and talked to the people accused. So how do you investigate something when you don't talk to the victims, you don't talk to the people accused, you don't talk to the whistleblowers, you don't talk to the witnesses, and you're going to say, the AG, we did a comprehensive investigation, and JJ just doesn't understand, and it's not true. You know what I'm saying? It just I'm blown away. But now we got old Harp. I mean, dead banger, hand in the cookie jar. You cannot say, here's the contract, here his employment is. What else do you need on top of the $90,000 a year embezzlement? Bob, that's almost $270,000 right there in a 3-year period of time. And again, Bob, let me just pick your brain. If you was an investigator and you saw that a guy went and got $100,000 a month without approval, you saw he gave himself a $90,000 raise without authorization, you saw he illegally made contracts to enrich himself, would you not start looking at the $70 million food contract that looks shady as crap? Wouldn't you open up an investigation into that?
Yeah, they don't open up nothing on it. I mean, even the governor should have chimed in.
Well, Bob, that $312 million purchase of that prison. You know what I'm saying? That's just. I started saying a year earlier that was suspicious. The way it's all going down, the way they all got in a fight, and then they all got back together, and then they made a year contract. I say, foul. And I'm calling and I'm saying, hey, something's going to be stinky on this. And sure enough, called it by the numbers. And so, again, here's where I'm at. How in the world can you have all of this? And Bob, let's not forget about the Swadley's barbecue. I mean, he was over those contracts. Let's not forget about all of the COVID money missing. And I turned that into the former AG, not O'Connor, but Mike Hunter. And I do think Mike I know for a fact Mike was paying attention to it, but he had some reasons that he didn't get it done. He left. He had to leave a little early. He got cut short a little bit. But here's the thing. Does this AG not be able to go back and look at that and see all the money that was missing out of that, and then turn around and not say that these other things should be investigated? I'm going to tell you something. I think Harpe may be one of the shadiest people I've seen in government, and that's saying something, Bob.
Well, that's beyond me why they would not go check it out.
Well, it is. I mean, if you're going to say that you want to be, and again, I think that Gittner is trying to put himself as the law and order. He's trying to get on the good side of the DAs, and he's trying to make himself as the law and order guy. I think that's why he went after Richard Glossop after fighting for, saying Richard couldn't get a fair trial. He gets out there in the middle of the stream and changes horses, turns right around. Let's go after him. Let's prosecute him. That's a real head scratcher. I mean, that's you talking about face and double tongued, two faced. You know what I mean? Then make a deal and then don't keep the deal. I got real problems. I've called him out on that little deal, but on this deal, I just can't get why in the world. And here's the other thing, Bob. Tell me this. Now, everybody talks like Gittner Drummond and Kevin Stitt are at war with each other. They just act like they're mortal enemies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yet every time I turn around, and then not just on Gittner's side, on Stitt's too, on Governor Stitt's side, when they got a chance to put the spur to one another, you know what I'm saying? If you're my mortal enemy and I got a good chance to put a spur to you, like something like this, guess what? I would put it to, and that's kind of like at Tremaine Wood. I applaud the governor for, the clemency because all the corruption But if I'd been the governor, I wouldn't have come out and said, "Well, the family the family of the deceased wanted clemency, and that's why we awarded." That's fine. I think that needs to be a factor. But I can tell you this: I'd come out and said, "Oh, by the way, one of the main reasons is because the AG was caught speaking to the appellate court and the judge that's over all this, Judge Lumpkin, and not just caught, they had emails going back and forth. Bob, that's bad juju. I mean, that's wrong. Any person that has a law degree knows that's absolutely big time wrong. And here he is trying to persuade those judges just to let this thing go on and run the course. Big time wrong. We found also that the judge that was in Richard Glossop's, when she wouldn't recuse, they end up finding emails from her talking about how, if I remember right, how Drummond wasn't going to pursue the DA that had done all these kind of wrongs. And this judge and that DA are giving high fives to each other, acting like, they're celebrating over all this. Not proper communication with the judge. All this going on, instead, I would have pulled it out and slammed them on corruption. And he just come out and said, well, the family didn't want it, And so again, here's the AG having really, really controversial communications and not following the letter of the law and not following ethical law anyways, for sure. And so I don't know what's it going to take to get this AG to go after Drummond. You got any idea, Bob? Should
no
hire a ticker?
That one there, that's a cut dry on the $1 million contract. There's not even talking about it. It's out there, and there's a law that says you can't do that, and he did it, and but he's also said that he was I don't remember how he worded it, but basically it's like he had the AG into his back pocket.
Yeah, that's before all this. When he come out and said, "Well, if Drummond wins the election, he'll stay there because they'd already worked that out."
Yeah,
that's not a good look on Drummond, and that's not a good look. Of course, here's the deal: is Harpe telling the truth on that? You can't really believe anything Harpe says, but it's not a good look if that was true. When he comes out and basically acts like they're all in bed together, when Drummond hadn't pursued a rape, when Drummond hadn't pursued human rights violations, that we provided evidence of both those horrendously, murder covers up, extortion, Swadley's barbecue, COVID money gone, the leasing the building without permission, the getting a $90,000 raise a year without any authorization. And now, you do this contract where you're caught dead banger. I mean, it's dead banger, and you're not going to pursue any of that. You're going to go, well, he's gone. Well, so if you get away with robbing a bank, I mean, does the investigators go, well, they already got that bank robbed and they're already gone. Let's just forget about it. You know what I mean? That's not the way you work. No, you go, oh, hey, we're going to pursue you until we catch you, And so again, and make you repay the money is the other part. And again, what are they doing here? Nothing at all. They're not even pursuing anything. And Bob, this is where I'm at. This is where my big, and people wonder why I'm going out so publicly and why these grand juries and all of this kind of stuff that I'm involved in. And it's because I have brought these, and guys, I've documented. So again, the whole process, you got to go from one step to the next step to the next step. So we brought this in front of the governor. We brought it in front of the AG. We brought it in front of the House and the Senate. And you bring this stuff, then you go to the court system and they refuse to do their job. Then you go to the Supreme Court system and they refuse to do your job. And then you got, you can either go pursue a lawsuit, which is what we've done in probably 7 or 8 cases, or you can go do a grand jury, which is what we're trying to do now in many of these things. And again, then when we try to do a grand jury, we have our government and our court system come in and kill that illegally. I think if you go back and look at the law and research the law, you're going to agree with me. You cannot quash, you cannot kill a grand jury. It's illegal, and you don't have standing, so you got to wait till the grand jury gets seated. Then if you want to try to argue your argument that this is false or we didn't do enough or whatever, you can. But once the judge has approved a grand jury petition, it's just that. It's just a petition which allows you to go out and get signatures. Nobody can file in saying we want to kill this petition. If you do, it's illegal and it's obstruction. And so, again, that's what we're doing now with all of these things. But it's just unbelievable because right now the AG has, here's the case, just the cherry on top of the cake. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing. You cannot argue it. You don't have to go out and say, well, maybe, or well, JJ was wrong, or JJ got the wrong evidence. No, JJ didn't do any of this. This come out without me. All I did was, once I seen it, write him and say, hey, right here it is. Easy. You can find it just like I found it. Bam, here it is. What are you going to do? And are you going to prosecute? And guess what, Bob? But you know what, Bob? Would you just investigate? How about you just investigate it? A real investigation. Not one of these go over and sit down with one person and talk. A real investigation. We've been 3 years, Bob, doing that. Have you ever seen them do a real investigation?
No.
But here's the thing. Let me bounce this off of you, Bob. See what you think. The legislator's job, the House and the Senate, they are over all of these agencies. And I'm not just picking on DOC because I think all the agencies are out of control. They're completely out of control and they have no accountability. So, Bob, it's not the people that are supposed to be holding them accountable. Isn't that the House and Senate? I mean, aren't they the ones responsible?
They should be.
So, Bob, here's where I'm at, and you've said in those budget meetings, and these agencies come in and they drop their budget, and we'll go, oh, well, we don't like this 12,000, and we don't like this, and we don't like this. When's the last time you seen a budget person go through and say, how many administrators do you have? How many employees do you have? Do you really have the number of employees that you actually claim? How many vehicles do you have?
Well, ask
Where
them
are those vehicles?
How many people they have? How many people have you hired?
Right. Overall staff. How many people do you really have? And how many people are we paying you for? When's the last time? Do you think that ever gets done in a budget process?
Oh, no.
See,
They don't know. If they go to a budget process and say, for example, well, these first out of their mouth is we're going to work with the money we had last year. We don't ask, not asking for any more money. We'll stay where we're at. Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Approved.
But that's just a little picture. That's not the big picture.
Right. We've been cheating y'all. We've been cheating y'all for the last 10 years, and we'll just keep on cheating at the same level we're going to cheat today.
Yeah.
And okay, no problem. That's great. That's awesome. You're not going up. Or if they go up, Bob, what they'll do, we need 15 when they really want 10. We need 15 tech, new tech people. And that's going to cost us $2 million, And then they'll come back, oh, no, you can't have 15 now. You need 10. Okay, we'll all agree on 10, and we'll cut that down to 1.1 million. And then we all feel really warm and fuzzy because we saved the state, $800,000 or something, or $9, la-di-da. I mean, it's all a game, and nobody even goes to look at these contracts. Nobody goes to look. And here's the deal, Bob. If you are a person who actually digs into that, and you're on one of those committees and you start looking into all that and you start bringing it up, guess what?
You squash.
You're a troublemaking dude. And if you're sitting in that budget meeting going, ooh, let me ask a question. Hey, Humphrey, shut up. Put your question in writing. Because we don't want it on a video. We don't want it out where the whole people can watch and put that sucker on the hot seat and say, where is this money? Where did you get this? So you made $270,000 over here at OMES when you were director of OMES. So you just transferred your salary over to the Department of Corrections. Is that what you did? Yep, that's what I did. It's on tape, me asking him that. Yeah, that's what I did. Well, guess what? You can't do that. You can't just transfer there's a director's salary, and that is the salary. You are not Mr. State himself that just says, well, I made that over here, so I'll just make it over here, and I'll decide what I get. And that's exactly what he done. And he's on tape saying it. It's embezzlement all day long, and I got him on tape saying it. And then they're like, hey, Humphrey, shut up. You're putting him under too much pressure. And what was funny, Bob, they went in there to the speaker because they weren't going to come into the budget hearing because I was in there. And they were going to not show up for a agency budget meeting because I'm in there. And then the chairman gets called out, and the chairman was for a lot of the questions I was asking. Chairman gets called out. He comes back. Okay, we're going to have them in here. They come in, and it's like, Humphrey, shut up. And again, I love the chairman. I love him, but he got the screws put to him and said, do not let Humphrey go after these guys in there. And he had to shut me down. And again, I understand him on that. I personally would have told him go kick sand, but that's why he's chairman and I'm not, And so it's just unbelievable, Bob, that we've got all of these agencies, not one agency, every one of them is like that. And nobody, the government, you might as well not even have anybody up there. You might as well just have them turn in a budget and say, this is what we're going to get, and go, well, we're going to cut you about 1-2% just to make us feel good. And guess what? We save the state millions and millions of dollars if we just quit meeting at the Capitol and just say, hey, whatever y'all turn in, we're going to cut 3%. You better build it in. Build the 3% in because we're going to cut you 3%. And now we'll all be, And if you get called out on raping, allowing rape, you get called out on extortion, if you get called out on human rights violations, we're not going. If you get called out on waterboarding kids, on taking kids out of home, guess what? We'll not hold you to one bit of accountability, not one. And that's where we are right now. And again, we have an AG that's going to say, absolutely. Bob, tell me who he's went after in government.
I don't know of anybody.
I don't either. I cannot recall. Okay, he went after Zumwalt. And here's what's funny. They go after Zumwalt. And the auditor and the AG go after Zumwalt. Now, here's what is hilarious, and I don't know if you'll remember this, and you knew it probably as much as I did, Bob. But when Governor Stitt put Zumwalt into the tourism office, I was going, what in the world is he thinking? Why is he doing that? Because everybody and their mama knew that she had loaned or that she gave a contract to the company that her husband worked for, multi-million-dollar contract, smacks of corruption. Now, I ain't saying she's corrupt. I'm saying it smacks of corruption. It looked terrible. It looks bad. Now, if you're going to go after her, you have to be able to tie that money. You have to show where she gave that multi-million-dollar contract, and then her and her husband were enriched by that contract. Now, you'd think that's what the state auditor's doing, but the state auditor just comes and says, oh, she did this contract. Well, no bull crap. You know what? Everybody and their mama knew that before we ever started. You got to get the money connection, and that's why you don't see. So the AG come in and made an agreement, which makes me think that they know the connection. See, that's a backwater deal. That's a backwater deal the AG did. If I have enough evidence to make you agree to pay back, what was it, 20,000, something like that, and that you can't have any kind of office for 2 years, you're going to make that agreement. And then guess what? Then I've got enough to probably pursue on you. And why are you making those kind of agreements? If she did that, pursue it and charge her. If not, let it go. But anyways, that's the only thing. I don't know of anything else. I mean, I literally, the guy's been in there 4 years. I have turned in mountains of corruption, and he has not pursued DA corruption. He has not pursued DOC corruption. He has not pursued mental health corruption, DHS corruption. I turned in. Now, I didn't turn in the medical marijuana to him. I turned in the medical marijuana to the auditor with mountains of evidence. Nothing. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just mind-boggling. And now he's going to be the champion of holding the government accountable. What in the world, you know? It just, my mind stays blown.
What is it?
You know, and again,
what is it that the Ethics Commission was getting on to you for? What happened?
Well, Bob, that, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was off on the DA there, or the AG. But here's what's funny. You remember me talking about the Woolley case?
Yeah.
It's the guys so the Woolley case, just so everybody out there, we just give you a short rundown. But basically, we had a mother who had an addiction issue. So the grandparents end up getting the 2 kids. The youngest kid had been born with an addiction and had a lot of medical problems. And the youngest kid died in the grandparents' care. The DA up there and the sheriff tried to charge this grandparents of sexually assaulting the youngest kid and murder. So they arrest them and they keep them in jail about 4 months. Had to turn them loose for lack of evidence. They rearrest them and again keep them in jail about 4 months and let them loose for lack of evidence. Now, I've looked at the case and all the evidence is on the Woolley side that I can see unless, and I went to talk to the county. I didn't just take one side. I try to find out the truth. So unlike everybody else, I went down there and met with the sheriff on the whole deal and got their reports and the whole 9 yards. So when I'm talking, look, I'm trying to be as objective, but I'm telling you from everything I see. So here's the thing. I got the file. I didn't just go down there. I got the DHS file and went through it. Now, Bob, I almost guarantee you, I would be willing to bet the farm on it that DHS scrubbed that file when they brought it to me. So they sanitize the file. They take out anything that has to do with that case, you know, where they've got. So they remove everything. They bring me this file over. Bob, I swear it was almost a foot tall. I mean, this sucker's huge, you know. So they bring that file over there, and it's a bunch of nothing. I go through it, bunch of nothing. And then they're telling me, oh, JJ, you need to know about something. You know, I'm not going to comment on what it was, but you need to know this. You need to know this. This is bad, you know. Well, Bob, I went and checked that out, and in 30 minutes disproved everything they were saying was 1,000% a lie. And just with a little investigation, I found it disproved it 1,000%. So anyways, I'd called them, told them come get their file because it's worthless. And so anyways, that's been 2 years ago, Bob. 2 years ago. Now, guys, you need to know there's a documentary out called Saving Clayton. You need to know that there is a billboards all over Tulsa and Broken Arrow area with these family pictures, because what they did, the 7-year-old, they took that 7-year-old without due process. They just kidnapped that kid from this family because guess what? They've never been found guilty of anything. That makes them innocent. So how can you take a kid without ever going to court, without ever doing due process? Guys, the law says they're the law. I mean, they're supposed to know. And it says you got to give due process. No due process. Now, 2 years later, And you need to know, I believe that there are people looking into this. I think DHS is feeling the heat on this being looked into. Okay. And so what happened, they called ethics and said that I have not given back his file after 2 years. Now here's what's funny, Bob. Would you wait 2 years? Most high profile case probably in Oklahoma as far as DHS concerned. Would you wait 2 years to call and ask for that file?
I don't think so.
I mean, and don't you think you would have put it in writing saying, Mr. Humphrey, Representative Humphrey, give back the darn file? You know, and if I wouldn't give it back, wouldn't you have called up our leadership? Wouldn't you called up the speaker and said, would you go down there and whoop snot out of Humphrey and make him give that file back? I would have the documents prove it. So here comes ethics. They call me and they say, hey, we got a complaint on you. And I said, well, look here, I don't want to talk about it over the phone. I want to meet you in person. And what I'm going to do when I meet you in person, I want to know what the accusations against me are. And I want to know what's the punishment, what's the range of punishment that can happen. And then I'll decide whether I'll get a lawyer or whether we can work this out. So I meet Monday, which they couldn't believe that I was willing to meet so quick or even call them back so quick. And we go in there, meet. Hey, that lady that was working with ethics, very, very, very nice person, very professional person. She comes in. Well, here's what the accusations are, that you won't give back this file. And so I said, well, what's the punishment on that? What could you? Because Bob, if it was going to be $250, I'd just kicked out $250 and said, I'm going to go out forward and say, let's go, let's investigate. You know. So anyway, she said, the accusations are that you have this file for 2 years and won't give back. And I told her, I said, well, don't that strike you as a little strange? And she goes, what do you mean? Well, do you have anything in writing where they asked? Do you have anything where they tried to get it back? I mean, just them saying so? Is that what the deal is? She said, well, that does kind of look kind of strange now that you mentioned it. I said, well, daggum right, it looks strange. I mean, that looks bad as crap. I mean, wow. I said, but here's what I'm going to tell you. My sister will be back in about 4 or 5 minutes. I said, when she gets back, I ain't going to swear that I've got it in writing, but I know me. And if I was a betting man, I'm going to bet you I have something in writing saying I gave that file back. And so LaToya comes in. I said, LaToya, they say that I didn't give back his file. She goes, that's a lie, you did too. And I said, I know that. I said, I mean, you both know that, but do we have something in writing to prove that? And I said, it's almost been 2 years to the date. I said, I remember this, 2 years to the date. And I told her the name of the person I gave it to. She goes in there. 3 minutes later, she comes back. She's got an email chain that says, please come pick up your file, and Humphrey will talk to you when you come pick it up. Then it says, thank you for your prompt pickup of the file. And then it's from them saying, you're welcome. So, I mean, it says, come get the file. Thank you for getting it. And they respond back, you're welcome. And LaToya gave that to that lady. And that lady couldn't believe. She was just like, I cannot believe that y'all would have this. And I cannot believe you found it so fast. And LaToya told her, said, well, the reason I found it so fast was because Humphrey was paranoid when he thought they were trying to, that everybody's trying to look at his stuff. And he made me put it on my email. So I remembered that and went in there and just looked at it and found it. So we were covered. And so then I tell her, I said, well, now what do you think? She goes, what do you mean? I said, well, what's this say to you? She goes, I don't get it. I said, well, look here. We now have established for sure that the Department of Human Services has lost, misplaced, mishandled, or destroyed that file. One of the top files in the state, one of the most controversial, highest profile cases, they have destroyed or lost and haven't even known it for 2 years. Now, the question is, what just happened? I mean, did somebody just wake up 2 years later and go, hey, where's this file? What just happened that made them realize where's the file? Or let me throw out another possibility. Let's say that you're getting heat and you're fixing to be looked at pretty let's say maybe you're going to get looked at on this case, and you know you got a daggum train wreck. What do, Bob?
That's a mess, JJ.
Well, you burn that file, Bob. I think here's what I believe. I believe DHS is knows that they're fixing to get looked at on this case. I think DHS realizes that, with our Payne County and all the stuff we're doing, it's starting to come in on them. And I think they're starting to clean house. And what I think they did, I think they burned the file, destroyed the file, and then guess what? Come up with a little plan. Guess what the plan was?
Blame it on JJ.
Blame it on frame old JJ. Frame JJ. And again, what they don't plan on, their little plan never thought, hey, that little crackhead might have a email, 2 years later, who has an email like that? You know what I'm saying? Who can prove
It's strange that they've gone after it after 2 years, that they're wanting the information, and now they can't find the information. So what are they going to do?
Well, that's the deal. I mean, here's the deal. If I was the investigator and I come over and you said you didn't have the file, that right there would put you in a bad spot with me, because my first inclination is, bull crap, you ain't lost. Bob, this file would be hard to lose. I mean, the sucker is a foot thick. I mean, if you look, you might lose a little file like that, but a foot thick one, that's hard to lose. Can I get a witness? And here's the deal. If you're going to come after me because I mishandled confidential information, that was another thing they said, that I released confidential information.
Wait, who did they get that from? Who do you think that came from? Who else said that about you? What other agency?
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, I've got it on email. DOC, they're all working together. And again, they're working through our own leadership to do all this. This is all using the government to go after you. And again, I think, and you know how bad I've been against ethics. I'll make it no bones. I think ethics charges too great of fines. I don't think they go after the big players. They go after, and Bob, let me just give, and you probably forgot about this. I've never forgotten about this, okay? And it happened to you. So ethics got after you one time because you had took me and 2 other people out to dinner, and you had listed that you, because it was a business deal, it was a OCP, and you paid for 4 meals, and all 4 meals were $13-something. And they come after you and looked into you, because how could you have the exact same price?
Everybody eat the same thing, yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, well, maybe that was the special. We all ordered a hamburger and fries. I mean, and it's $13 a piece, and that's what they go after. And you got people over here hijacking millions and putting millions of dark money into everybody's campaign, stealing elections. And guess what? We're going to go after, well, Bob, how in the world could you have 4 meals at the same price, Bob? Like that's some, intellectual challenge to get. I mean, I've never seen anything so stupid in all my life as that. But that's the kind of stuff got on me. The only time they've ever got me for something was I turned in something 7 hours late. Now, anybody else would have just changed the time and turned it in and said, no, I turned it in on time. Me, I just went ahead and turned it in, because here's the truth. They fined me $250 for turning something in 7 hours late. And again, okay, but when you're trying, when you're out there sincerely trying, and them do that, that's the kind of stuff that just floors me, Bob. But I will tell you, this new group seems to be more helpful. I will tell you, they're more helpful, and I do believe they're trying to do something, and so they are aware, because I asked them, I said, you do know they're trying to weaponize your office to go after me, don't you? And they were like, yes, we see that, we recognize that, but we still have to do. I said, no, I'm fine with you. I said, I think you're doing a good job. I think you're fine. But I just want you to know they're trying to play a trick, and they're trying to weaponize you. And Bob, I'm not saying this is what they did. I'm just saying that as an investigator, when you look at what's going on and the likelihood that they lost that file, and the 100% proof I have that they have the file, always had the file, and this high profile case, and that they would lose it seems extraordinarily unlikely. The fact that they would destroy it, yeah, that seems pretty. I would say that seems more realistic. Would seem to support what the facts of the case are, and then they're going to knowingly, I would say, knowingly call in on me and try to have me get a $25,000 fine for their criminal behavior. Now that's
Okay, let
what
me ask you a question. I'd like to ask you this and finish up with this on David Fleener.
mm-hmm.
Okay, he was in for murder, tried for murder, so he got life without parole. The guy that he killed broke into his house.
Right.
And so you think you can...
Well, here's the deal again, Bob. I mean, whether we're talking about DHS or whether we're talking about the judicial system, the district attorney's office, here's the deal. What people need to realize, it's all the same thing. There's nobody holding, judicial complaints don't hold anybody accountable. Bar holds nobody accountable. The only people they hold accountable is people they get pissed off at. Now, if they're mad at you, yes, they'll hold it. But all of their little cabal and all of this is government not holding anybody accountable. And I want to say, man, we got great judges. Me and you got a friend that's a judge.
Okay, but JJ, we looked at it. The guy that he killed, he did kill a guy, felt self-defense. But the guy that he killed, we could never figure out why did that guy walk 6 blocks and pick out David's house to go to. We never could figure that out. And after 30 years, they looked at it. They got the case today. I'm talking about Innocent Project, and found out that she was seeing that guy that got killed.
Yeah, but they've known that the whole time. That's what I'm saying, Bob. The police, the DA, all of them have known this, and they withhold critical evidence. That once you see that evidence, once you see, hey, that the lady that he was living with got up and left at midnight. That's odd.
And see him going into the house.
Yeah, who gets up and leaves? And then this guy's coming in and she don't say a word. And then he comes in and attacks her. Then you find out, oh, by the way, that guy that come in to attack him and that girl are seeing each other. Well, wow, you don't need, that pretty much says it all right there. But they withhold all of that. They keep all of that evidence, even though they know it. Now, what kind of sorry SOBs?
Well, they say we had a high-profile doctor in the state of Oklahoma look at that stabbing and realize the way that he stabbed him in the back, it wasn't going to bleed outwards; it's going to bleed inwards.
Right, but Bob, here's
that guy's going to die eventually. The medical examiner lied what she did.
But the whole deal is the court system. I mean, all of them have lied, and we've caught them in Richards. We caught them in Tremaine's. We know they did it in this case, in Fleener's case, and now we can't even get Fleener's case in front because the court is so corrupt that you can't even with absolute 100% evidence. And that's what I'm saying. These agencies, these DAs, all of them are corrupt, and nobody will hold them accountable. And guess what? People like David are sitting in there 29 years in prison because a bunch of lying SOBs have got the facts and holding it, and the other people won't let you bring the facts and get this guy out of prison like you ought to be able to get out of prison. And again, whether it's Woolies and their kid case, which is 1,000% evidence. We caught the DHS lying, slandering them. They don't have any evidence. The people were never found guilty. They took their kid without a hearing. I can go case after case. David Fleener, Richard Glossop, Tremaine Wood, all of these cases where we have 100% evidence that these prosecutors are violating the law, And guess what? And here's what's even funnier, Bob. If you look at David's case, guess who was the prosecutors in Richard's case? Same people. And you look at Tremaine Wood, same people. So it's not the whole system being corrupt. It's the same group of corruption, and it comes out. Now, we do have a lot across the state. We got good ones, but we have a lot of corruption, and we've got to call it out. And that's what. But Bob,
Well,
when you do,
real quick, David, in this particular case, the way they stabbed him, they said, well, you had to stab him when you seen him outside. They had no evidence that he stabbed him outside. Nothing. Even a person, independent person, neighbors, seen it. David and the guy talking, and said she could not see anybody that had a knife out. But they said, well, we think he did it. He stabbed him in the back, and that's what did it. Well, they all agreed. In fact, they went back. The polling was done to see, why did you make this decision? It's all based on what the medical examiner said. Oh, well, if he would stabbed him like that, he would have been paralyzed instantly, or he would killed him.
But Bob, we got 100% proof showing that's not true, and now they know that's not true. 100% proof.
But they come out, and that's one of the questions. They had no evidence that he did that.
Bob, here's the issue. When you find 100% proof of that, when you find that they withheld evidence, when you find they covered up, when you find that guy and that woman were having an affair, and now he's sneaking in at night into this house and getting in a fight with David, self-defense, and then you find, hey, David didn't stab him out there on the street. He stabbed him, and we have medical proof of that now. When you have all of that now, 100%, that these sorry suckers have withheld and put a guy falsely in prison, and guess what? You can't get it in front of the court. And then the AG, when all of this comes out, where they were told to go destroy evidence in Richard Glossop's case and put him in 27 years on the gurney, we know that they falsified, destroyed evidence. Guess what? The AG, it's been too long. Well, go tell Richard Glossop that. Go tell David Fleener that, who spent 29 years, who spent 27 years, who've been on the gurney 2 or 3 times. Guess what? Go tell them guys that it's been too long and we shouldn't prosecute those people who do those kind of acts. And again, it's still going on. Richard Glossop's still on trial, even though we know all that. Tremaine Wood, guess what? He should get a new trial because we know all of the stuff they did to falsify and to lie and to cheat and perjure. And guess what? David Fleener. But here's the other issue. Those are cases that we've gotten interested in, we've worked on. If there's that many cases, Bob, how many cases? I mean, that's their standard procedure. These lying suckers standard. And again, it's across DHS, it's across DHS, mental health, DOC. This is the way the entire government is operating. And guess what, man? If you try to go after it, and there's not very many people trying to go after it, but that's what this Payne County deal. And then here they come with ethics. Get ready. That's not going to be the first. That's how they attack you. They go after it, and they go after you. So again, I'm going to guarantee you it's the fight zone, and it's fixing to get ugly. I mean, buckle up, get a deep seat in a faraway look, because if we get that Payne County grand jury, and it looks like we're fixing to turn that stuff in probably next week, if that happens, get ready. She's going to go rock and roll rodeo. It's going to get ugly. Bob, we're at 4:01. We got our pet peeves in. We discussed Mr. Harpe and AG. If anybody talking to AG, tell him to get off his hiney and go after Harpe and do something. And then DHS, shame on you for trying to destroy evidence and go after. I think they just tried to destroy evidence. That's my opinion. They probably destroying that file, trying to cover their hiney. So we'll see. Bob, appreciate you today. You're looking good. I'll see you next week.
Next.